The Mad Monk of Russia, Rasputin's reign of scandal and sorcery. Hey, history fanatics and seekers of dark truths. Imagine a time when an entire empire teetered on the brink, and the fate of millions seemingly rested in the hands of a single, enigmatic figure. Not a general, not a statesman, but a wild-eyed peasant with hypnotic eyes and a reputation for both miracles and unspeakable depravity. Today, we're plunging into the swirling vortex of scandal, sorcery, and supreme power that defined the life of Grigory Rasputin, the Mad Monk of Russia. Was he a saint or a charlatan? A divine healer or a debauched manipulator? His name still conjures whispers of forbidden orgies, dark prophecies, and a chilling hold over the last Russian empress. We're pulling back the velvet curtains of the Romanov court to expose the plots, the intrigues, and every scandalous detail that led to his bizarre and brutal end. Get ready, because the true story of Rasputin is far more twisted than you could ever imagine. Our story begins not in the gilded palaces of St. Petersburg, but in the dusty, remote Siberian village of Pokrovskoye, where Grigory Yefimovich Novik was born around 1869. The very name Rasputin, meaning debauched one or dissolute, was reportedly a nickname he earned in his youth for his unruly behavior, including drinking, petty thievery, and a reputation for licentiousness. This humble peasant, reportedly illiterate or barely so for much of his early life, was a far cry from the refined circles he would later infiltrate. Yet, a profound shift occurred in his late teens. Accounts differ, but a religious conversion, perhaps spurred by a pilgrimage or a brush with the mystical Khlysty sect, transformed him. He renounced meat and tobacco, reduced his drinking, and embarked on years of wandering as a stranic, a holy wanderer, living off donations and gaining a reputation as a starets, a self-proclaimed holy man with an uncanny ability to heal the sick and predict the future. Whispers of his piercing blue eyes and magnetic charisma spread. He was said to possess an extraordinary vitality that drew people to him, a raw, untamed spiritual energy. This reputation, combined with his peasant origins, made him seem authentically connected to the Russian soul, a quality the increasingly isolated Romanov aristocracy desperately sought. This was the genesis of a phenomenon, a man who, against all odds, would soon step from the desolate Siberian plains onto the grandest stage in Russia. The year is 1905, and St. Petersburg society is abuzz with spiritualism and mysticism. It was into this fertile ground that Rasputin, with his magnetic gaze and coarse charm, arrived. Through a network of influential society ladies and eager clergy, he found his way into the highest echelons of the Russian Orthodox Church and, eventually, into the inner circle of the imperial family. The Romanovs, Tsar Nicholas II, and especially Tsarina Alexandra, were desperate. Their only son and heir, Tsarevich Alexei, suffered from hemophilia, a terrifying, incurable bleeding disorder that threatened the very future of the dynasty. Modern medicine offered no solace, leaving the empress consumed by anxiety and open to any unconventional hope. In 1908, during one of Alexei's agonizing bleeding episodes, Rasputin was summoned to the palace. What happened next cemented his position forever. Accounts claim Rasputin simply prayed over the boy, or perhaps used hypnosis, but miraculously, Alexei's bleeding stopped. The Tsarina, beside herself with relief and conviction, believed it was an act of God, a divine intervention through this humble holy man. Rasputin immediately warned them that the destiny of both the child and the dynasty were irrevocably linked to him, binding the empress to him with a powerful, almost unbreakable psychological chain. From that moment, Rasputin became their most trusted advisor, their friend, their personal conduit to divine grace. He was seen as the only one who could truly help Alexei, a belief so fervent that Nicholas and Alexandra fiercely defended him against all accusations, dismissing any negative reports as malicious lies. This absolute devotion, born of a mother's desperation and a dynasty's vulnerability, opened the gates of the palace to the Siberian peasant, setting the stage for a decade of unparalleled influence and scandal. As Rasputin's influence over the imperial family grew, so too did the lurid gossip that swirled around him, turning his name into a byword for debauchery and corruption. While in the presence of the royals, he maintained a facade of a humble, pious peasant. Outside the palace, however, the stories painted a very different picture. Rumors of his insatiable appetites became legendary. He frequented bathhouses and brothels, openly indulging in heavy drinking and scandalous affairs with women from all social backgrounds, from prostitutes to society ladies. He reportedly boasted of his sexual prowess, claiming it was a path to salvation, driving out sin with sin. His bizarre doctrine suggested one was nearest to God when feeling holy passionlessness, achievable through prolonged debauchery. Tales spread of his apartment becoming a den of sin, where sexo-religious rituals took place, blurring the lines between prayer and pure hedonism. The most persistent and damaging rumor was of an intimate affair with Tsarina Alexandra herself, and even with her daughters. While no concrete evidence ever proved these accusations, Rasputin himself did little to dispel them, sometimes drunkenly boasting of his escorted visits with the royal family, further fueling public outrage and bringing the monarchy into disrepute. Beyond the scandalous personal life, Rasputin's power extended into the very heart of the Russian government. Particularly after 1915, when Tsar Nicholas II left St. Petersburg to command the Russian armies in World War I, leaving the Tsarina in charge, Rasputin's influence became virtually unchecked. He meddled in political appointments, suggesting incompetent opportunists for key ministerial posts based on his whims or supposed divine visions. High-ranking officials were dismissed, and unknown figures rose to power at his recommendation. Russia, already teetering on the brink of collapse due to the devastating war and internal unrest, saw its government plunge further into chaos under the sway of a man widely perceived as a depraved mystic. The belief that an uneducated peasant effectively ruled Russia, combined with the escalating tales of his debauchery and even alleged treason with the German enemy, intensified animosity towards the Romanovs, sealing their fate and his own. As World War I raged and Russia descended into chaos, Rasputin became a symbol of everything wrong with the imperial regime. His enemies grew, not just among the public, but among the highest echelons of the aristocracy and even within the extended Romanov family, who saw him as the ultimate threat to the monarchy's survival. Plots to eliminate him became commonplace, but Rasputin seemed impossibly resilient. He had already survived previous attempts on his life. In 1914, a peasant woman, reportedly driven by religious fanaticism or personal vendetta, stabbed him severely in the stomach, leaving him near death. Yet, against all odds, Rasputin recovered, a feat that only enhanced his mystical aura and the belief in his almost supernatural resilience. This apparent invincibility only hardened the resolve of those who believed his death was the only way to save Russia. The final, most infamous plot was hatched in late 1916 by a group of extreme conservatives, including the wealthy and influential Prince Felix Yusupov, married to the Tsar's niece, the fervent nationalist politician Vladimir Purishkevich, and even the Tsar's cousin, Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich. Their motive was clear: to rid Russia of this corrupting influence and salvage the monarchy's reputation. On the night of December 29, 1916, Yusupov lured Rasputin to his opulent Moika palace in St. Petersburg under the pretense of meeting his beautiful wife, Irina, who was, in fact, away. The conspirators' plan was elaborate and gruesome. They offered Rasputin cakes and red wine laced with enough potassium cyanide to kill several men. To their astonishment, Rasputin consumed the poisoned treats with no ill effect, even asking for more. Panic set in. Yusupov, bewildered by his victim's resilience, excused himself, grabbed a revolver, and shot Rasputin in the back. The monk collapsed, seemingly dead. The conspirators, relieved, left the room. But the nightmare wasn't over. A short while later, Yusupov returned to check the body. In a scene that has become the stuff of legend, Rasputin suddenly opened his eyes, lunged at Yusupov, and reportedly choked him, uttering a chilling prophecy of the Romanovs' downfall. "You bad one," Rasputin rasped. "You will hang." The other conspirators rushed in. Purishkevich fired several more shots, hitting Rasputin. They then beat him savagely with a rubber club. Convinced he was finally dead, they wrapped his body in a sheet, tied him up, and threw him into the freezing Neva River. His body was found days later. Autopsy reports remain debated, with some claiming no poison was found and that he died from gunshot wounds, while others suggest water in his lungs indicated he was still alive when thrown into the icy river, ultimately succumbing to hypothermia. The legend of Rasputin's refusal to die, his almost superhuman endurance, solidified his mythic status, turning his assassination into one of history's most bizarre and unforgettable murders. And so, we close the chapter on Grigory Rasputin, the mad monk whose life was a whirlwind of scandal, sorcery, and supreme power. Was he a true mystic, a manipulative charlatan, or a complex blend of both? His story, steeped in rumor and sensationalism, remains one of the most compelling and baffling in history. He rose from obscurity to command the ears of an empress, to dictate policy, and to become the symbol of a crumbling empire. His alleged orgies and debauchery shocked society, while his uncanny ability to soothe the ailing Tsarevic Alexei cemented his unbreakable hold on the desperate royal family. He was the dark shadow over the Romanovs, and his dramatic, almost supernatural death, far from saving the monarchy, only hastened its inevitable collapse. Rasputin's legacy forces us to confront uncomfortable questions. How much can sheer charisma and cunning influence those in power? How do desperate times breed fertile ground for figures who blur the lines between spiritual guidance and dangerous manipulation? And how does a compelling narrative, even one riddled with exaggeration, shape our understanding of historical truth? The legend of Rasputin, with its intoxicating mix of sex, power, and death, continues to haunt our imagination. His tale is a stark reminder of the volatile forces at play when an isolated aristocracy loses touch with its people, and a figure like Rasputin steps into the vacuum, wielding a mysterious power that defies easy explanation. What do you believe about Rasputin? Was his influence truly mystical, or was it a grand illusion of a master manipulator? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if this journey into the dark heart of Imperial Russia intrigued you, hit that subscribe button. Because here, we're always unearthing the most scandalous, intriguing, and utterly fascinating secrets of the past. See you in the next one.